question that I often get asked is what is the difference between my Spark and my Genius. The Spark is designed as a cross-country machine, whereas the Genius, it's an all-round trail bike. Let's get into some of the details and talk about the comparable differences. The Spark is designed as a cross-country or marathon bike, one that you could sit all day long on and go for a big ride with your buddies. Now this is my Spark 900 Ultimate. It's got 120mm of travel, but don't let that deceive you because this thing can absolutely rip down the trails. Of course, we've seen what Nino Schurter can do at the Cross Country World Cups with the 100mm RC version of it. He can really throw that around and shows just how capable, fast and nimble the bike is. Now let's talk about my Genius. The Genius is a thoroughbred trail bike. It's designed to be able to climb up any mountain and then shred back down, regardless of the terrain. We've of course seen what Remy Absalon can do on this bike in the Enduro World Series, an extremely capable and versatile machine. The differences between the two bikes are really subtle, however they make a huge difference when you're out riding in the trails. The Spark has 120mm of travel, whereas the Genius, it's got 150mm of travel. When it comes to wheel size, the Spark is the Ultimate 900, so that's 29-inch wheels. Currently, on my Genius, they're 27.5-inch wheels. However, the unique thing about the Genius is that you can actually fit 29-inch wheels in there, making it a really versatile and compatible bike no matter what your riding style is like. Other details are things like geometry. The Spark has a 67-degree head angle, whereas the Genius has a 65-degree head angle. The 65-degree head angle is just a little bit slacker, giving you some more stability when you're riding downhill. The biggest difference between the two is the fact that the Spark is actually a single pivot bike, whereas the Genius, that's a 4-bar bike. The single pivot saves quite a bit of weight by having fewer pivots in the rear triangle. On a cross-country bike, every gram counts, and on the shorter travel bikes, the added benefit of 4-bar linkage does not outweigh the weight penalty. With the Genius's trail use and longer travel, the balance tips a little more towards suspension performance. The extra pivot in front of the dropout on the Genius makes a small but noticeable difference on the trail. For a few extra grams, the suspension is more active during braking. When it comes to tire size, the Spark fits 2.4-inch tires, whereas the Genius can take up to a 2.8-inch tire. That 2.8 tire, it just gives you a little bit more cushion when you're riding some of the aggressive trails. Both bikes have twin lock. Now this is Scott's proprietary suspension system. It's unique to them, and what's really cool about it is that it gives you 3 bikes in one. You've got your open mode, which is descent. You've got a traction control mode, which I use a lot when I'm climbing up technical sections. Finally, you've got climb mode. Now climb mode, it's really good for attacking some of those fire road climbs. This is almost like a lockout on the bike, saving every bit of energy so you can get the maximum out of your descents. Now that you know the technical differences between the two bikes, let's head to the trails. So we've ridden up to the top of the trail now. I've been in that traction control mode just to optimize the bike's performance when climbing. Now I'm going to put in descent mode and we're going to drop in. So you've seen me on the Genius, now it's time to take to the cross-country trails on my Spark. So finished up a really fun ride on the Spark. It's a more cross-country based trail, faster, flowier, everything links together, and the Spark really held its own. But now let's talk about some of the comparable differences, starting off with the climbing. Now of course the Spark is going to be a little bit faster here. It's designed for climbing, the geometry is optimized for that. You sit in a bare position so you can really put power down through the pedals. However, the Genius is absolutely no slouch on it. It also climbs really well. It's when you get to the top of the trail and drop in that the Genius really starts to hold its own. It's got more travel, slacker head angle, and it really gives you more stability for riding some of those steeper, gnarlier trails. Having both the Spark and the Genius, I really feel that I've got every bike that I need for all styles of mountain biking.